Hello, I'm Ralph Edwards. When I first met the subject of the This Is Your Life classic you're about to see, it was when he appeared on the show in another person's story as a friend and an art critic. He was gentle, compassionate, and had a great sense of humor. In his acting career, those attributes combined to make him the superstar of horror films. Have you guessed who I'm talking about? Well, let's look at this classic, This Is Your Life, from 1972.
This is Your Life, an American tradition with Ralph Edwards.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You give me an autograph, please.
No, you needn't do it in pen and ink, Vincent. You can open a vein and do it in blood if you'd like. No, not mine. Yours.
I don't have it
You're
anymore.
nibbing.
I thought she might like
Oh, don't put it does look like that.
It does, but of course you were much younger there. But these things are always flattering. They're touched up. I'd like you to meet a friend of mine,
Hello,
Vincent.
how
You know
are you?
Ralph Edwards?
I see that you're autographing your book, A Treasury of American Art, Vinny.
He has to
Oh,
do
that's
that to give them
wonderful.
away.
I have another book with your name on it, right on the very front cover. It says, Vincent Price, This Is Your
I
Life.
really don't believe it. I really don't believe it.
I'm not going to try to see a
Yes, I know. Now they all have to get the book to see what he did. Now listen, you worked together in early days in television with Vincent Price.
We worked in silent television.
Yes, before it was piped up through an iron pipe with an electric fan on the roof. It was blown out across town.
Absolutely. I can't believe this, you know, because all my life I thought if they ever do this to me, I'll know it.
Yes, well, you're a missionary for us now. You see, you can tell people that you didn't know. Well, what were you on together?
We did a show called Pantomime Prism.
Pantomime Prism.
Along 47 we started.
And it was one of the first shows, really big shows on TV.
Well, it was big because as it was first, you understand, the standards were not too high.
No, and there were only 4,000 TV sets in the country.
You guys made quite a team on that.
Well, Vincent was always the most attractive, most useful.
I always had my lawyer with me all the time because he insulted me.
No. But you were given
You
to
call me an itinerant grape picker.
No, olive picker.
Olive picker.
Well, that was the reason for that was that he pretended. He was given to certain theatricalities to which I could never subscribe.
No.
And he pretended on this day he was shooting
Baron of Arizona, was it?
Baron of Arizona.
and he pretended that he didn't have time to change his costume, and he came down late in the afternoon dressed in this
Thing that might have been serviceable for the bad man
Yes.
a remake of Blood and Sand. And I accused him of appearing as an itinerant olive picker. As I recall, he was always, a very graceful man. He accepted it. He resented it, but could not deny it. And so
Well, now look, Hans, let's Vincent and I, go back to our This Is Your Life theater where they're waiting there, a whole group of people to tell your story. Story of a true Renaissance man. Okay, come on, Hans, you get one.
And now, here are Ralph Edwards and a very surprised Vincent Price.
Now that we've disposed of that Hans Conried, we'll get on with the show, eh?
It's a very dirty trick. You know. I thought I was just having a nice autograph party down there.
Oh, dear.
It's wonderful.
Vincent Price, your famous voice was first heard on May 27th, 1911, in St. Louis, Missouri, when you responded to the slap of the doctor who had just brought you into the world. You're one of 4 children. At the age of 12, you show an interest in art. You buy a Rembrandt etching on your allowance, Vincent? Or how did you work that out?
I stole the money out of the mite box.
Oh, you did?
So we used to give it to missionaries, and I decided they didn't need it anymore.
Did you didn't give it all at once, or was there kind of a payment?
It was $5 down, and it was $37.50, and it took me about 3 years to make it.
I see. Art is to become an all-consuming passion with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But I go back to the days when Vincent was the first to get his driver's license, and we would con him into driving us around.
A voice from your high school days, Vincent, the man who moved London Bridge to Lake Havasu in Arizona, Mr. Robert McCulloch.
Bob. How are you?
Oh, sit down, gentlemen. Mr. McCulloch, do you mean Vincent actually was your chauffeur back in St. Louis?
Certainly was.
Well,
He didn't have that much money then.
No.
No.
we conned him to driving, and we chipped in for the gas. And,
He was the only guy with a license, I take it.
yeah, but I was the mechanic that had changed the tires.
Bob and I used to celebrate our birthdays, which were very close to each other, at the Forest Park Highlands.
Exactly.
Every year.
Now, who paid for the gas in this deal? If it was his car and he chauffeured you around?
Oh, I think that it was supposedly chipped in mostly on tabs or credit or something.
I think so. Yeah. Bob, it's wonderful.
Robert McCulloch, chairman of the board of the McCulloch Oil Company. Thank you very much for being here tonight. You'll see Vincent a little later.
As tall as I am.
I guess he could take care of all the gas today, couldn't he? There. Well, now, in your last year in high school, you decide to become an active artist. You diligently try your hand at painting and then sculpting and finally woodcutting. At Yale, you continue your art studies.
Vinc's a guy that works and plays harder than any man I've ever known.
I'm sure you recognize the voice. It belongs to your roommate at Yale, your longtime friend, advertising executive here from Philadelphia, Ted Thomas.
I am the godfather of his youngest daughter.
Yes.
A couple of big fellas, I must say that.
And
Sit down,
Bob
gentlemen.
McCulloch, too. We're all large.
Yes, your friendship with Vincent has continued through the years, hasn't it?
In spite of everything.
Yes.
Did anything unusual ever happen to you and your roommate here at Yale, Ted?
Yeah.
Well, yes. It was back in Prohibition days.
Tell us about that, Ted.
We bought a cask of grape juice. And this cask of grape juice had a wooden plug in the top, and it had a label. And the label said, "Warning, do not turn this plug 1/4 to the right, or it will let in air and it will ferment." So we realized this was the way to do it, and we let it go. And we put it in our clothes closet. And after it got going, it blew the cork. Yes. And the smell of sour wine nearly drove us out on the street. We had to get our clothes cleaned, and we never tried that again.
Thank you, Ted Thomas.
Thank you, Ted.
I can't believe it.
You don't even realize, I think, Vincent, that Ted and your other friends waiting back there have been hiding away at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, and here you are just walking around and never knew about it.
I know it.
After graduation from Yale, you go to the University of London to get your master's degree in art. And during your second year there, with an easy school schedule, you decide to try your hand at acting. Do you remember your first part?
I certainly do. It was in a play called Chicago, and I had a walk-on part with no lines, but I had
What'd you
squeaky
play?
shoes. I played a policeman.
You did?
Yes.
And next you get the male lead in Victoria Regina,
Victoria Regina.
playing
yes.
Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband. Gilbert Miller, the American theatrical impresario, sees the show, and what happened, Vincent?
Brought me over to play it with the greatest actress of our theater, Helen Hayes.
Right. Once you make your big splash in show business, you never really get a chance to dry off. After more than 2 years on Broadway in Victoria Regina, you get your first starring part and your first menacing role in Angel Street. The show is an immediate hit. You get rave notices, and when Angel Street finally closes, Hollywood beckons and you come a-running. Once you start making movies, there's no stopping you. Pictures like Laura and Dragonwyck, classic tales of horror and the supernatural like Fall of the House of Usher, Dr. Fives, Pit and the Pendulum, The Oblong Box, Tales of Terror.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet a dear friend. 9 killed you. 9 shall die. I will kill as many of you as I need to.
And the more pictures he makes, the better I like it.
The man you've been making pictures for, over 20 in the past 13 years, chairman of the board and president of American International Pictures, Mr. Samuel Arkoff. Here's Samuel. Vincent Price is the kind of star to have in your film company, Mr. Arkoff.
That's right. Vincent is an unusual star because his pictures usually make money.
Not always, mind you, but
well,
usually.
generally.
Yeah.
He also has another unusual trait in what he does with his expense allowance.
How do you mean that?
Well, Vinny has made 23 pictures for us in the past 13 years. Most of them, or many of them, in England. And when in England, he gets a big, fat expense account. And periodically, he insists the cost of living is going up and gets an additional to that. Now, we all had illusions that Vinny was living like an Oriental potentate in some deluxe London penthouse. Yeah. But much to our surprise, we discovered he was living in a modest room in a quiet hotel in a London side street. And the explanation, he was using most of his expense money to buy objects of art. Isn't that right, Vinny?
That's right. I'm furious that you found that out.
It took us a long time.
Vinny, it sounds as if you make pictures to buy pictures.
Certainly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Arkoff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Movies, television, the theater give you the wherewithal to expand your enormous talents and energies into new fields of endeavor. And we'll have some surprises for you in the other life of Vincent Price in just a moment. We even have surprises for you in the audience, Vincent. Really close friends. Come on, let's say hello to some of them. Right over here, if you will, please. Well, here is Jane Wyatt and her husband, Eddie Ward.
Thank you. Great.
What about, listen, what about this guy anyhow, Jane?
Well, I think of him in The Winslow Boy, when he had that beautiful cape on, and I missed that tonight.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know it.
But he's another Winslow Boy girl.
I know.
Yes, Dorothy McGuire.
Right on the list.
John.
And John Swope, her husband. How great. Dorothy. Oh, and Kay Medford back here. Look, right here. Oh!
Vincent and I were in a play in 1954. We used to have 7 newspapers then, so they came out late. He called me at 6 o'clock in the morning. We opened on Christmas Eve.
Jolly.
And Vincent said, Kay, we should have opened on Easter. They crucified him that time. And I said to him, don't worry, it'll be a silent night.
Oh, it was.
Open on the 4th of July, you'd have bombed. Oh, Ann Seymour here, ladies and gentlemen.
Ann, what do you remember about this guy?
Well, being Vincent's son's godmother, I've always felt I was part of his family.
It's true. It's true. Yes.
Oh, and Mary Wicks.
How are you?
Vincent's mother and father were 2 of the most charming people in the world. I think Vinny inherited a lot of it. They were great people. All of us in St. Louis are awful proud of Vincent.
All good people from St. Louis.
Darn tootin'.
Well, there's a whole lot more to go. I think we better get back on stage here now. We'll take a little breather. Be right back in just 1 second here. Oh, my. Vincent Price, your work for mankind is as arduous as your pursuit for entertainment, and your rewards have come in many different ways.
My life has been richer for having known Vincent Price.
Every American Indian is forever in Vincent Price's debt.
Vincent, your concern, your dedication, and your devotion to the American Indian is best expressed by poetess Donna Whitewing of the Institute of American Indian Art in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and famed American Indian painter, resident artist at the University of South Dakota, Oscar Howe.
Oscar, you got even with me. Huh?
He was talking about it on the way. I will explain this to you in a minute. Oscar Howe, not many people are aware of Vincent's deep attachment to the Indians, are they?
nor the fact that for 14 years Vincent was Commissioner of Indian Arts and Crafts Board of the Department of the Interior. Just last year, he requested that he be replaced by a Native American and Indian. As commissioner, he made it his responsibility to awaken the American and world public to the beauty of Indian art.
He saw in it an important facet of Indian culture, and I was one of the first students to receive the Vincent Price Creative Writing Awards, which he began at the Institute of American Indian Arts in 1962. Mr. Price has read some of my poetry at various occasions. I attribute his interest and his encouragement to my continued writing and to my being published in a book called The Whispering Wind. And I'm very grateful that your life touched mine for a while.
Thank you. You touched mine with your beautiful poetry.
And your country will always be grateful, Vincent. That's exactly why I'm here.
Another longtime friend from Washington, D.C., Special Assistant for Indian Affairs to the Secretary of the Interior, Roger C.B. Morton, Miss Wilma Victor.
Oh, for
Lovely to see you.
Now, Vincent, listen carefully. Miss Victor has something very special to say to you.
Yes.
Vincent Price, Secretary Roger C.B. Martin, has asked me to represent him in presenting to you the highest award given to a civilian for your great contribution to the Indian people. It's my pleasure to give it to you tonight.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Vincent. Thank you, Wilma Victor, Donna Whitewing, and Oscar Howe. In an entirely different way, you, Vincent, maybe more than anyone else, have made America art conscious.
We are so honored to have Vincent Price as an associate.
Well, now, Vice President of Sears Roebuck. I was waiting to see if he were going to go all the way down or not.
Faint.
Vice President of Sears Roebuck from Chicago, Mr. Vincent Graham.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now you can sit down.
All right. Hello, Vincent.
In the early 1960s, America was just begun to expand its interest in fine art. Through the good offices of Lester Salkow and Harry Sondheim, Vincent became the father of our program and purchased over 75,000 pieces of art for us. And I'm more than glad that he's a member of the Sears family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent Graham.
Thank you.
Well, on your many travels around the world, Vincent, you always manage to pick up gourmet recipes, and when you're at home, you try them out. Eventually, you write a cookbook, Treasury of Great Recipes, which is now sold, I guess, 300,000 copies. You have had a collaborator for this book and for a good part of your life, costume designer and design consultant, and incidentally responsible for framing thousands of the pictures that Mr. Graham talked about. She also happens to be your wife, Mary Price.
Yeah.
Mary, you sit on the other side of him. Who really does the cooking in the Price home now?
I want to get this.
Yeah.
Well, we each have our specialties, so together we add up to be one pretty good cook. We're very proud to be Vincent Price's family.
Thank you, Mary.
All being, of course, you, Mary, your daughter, Victoria. And your son from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Barrett Price, and wife, Renee.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Get these two faces together. They kind of look. Barrett, I understand you're a contributing editor of Vincent's book, A Treasury of American Art.
It was a great joy to me to be a part of it. Danny was here at the party.
Yeah, wonderful.
They'll be right back. They're just going to sit over there for a second. You've just finished a new movie called Much Ado About Murder, Vincent.
Yeah.
And that's portrayed along with your other accomplishments on this gold charm bracelet.
Oh, how wonderful.
It's for you, Mary, designed by Marshall Jewelers, Fifth Avenue, New York City. And Vincent, you'll have a videotape of this show, which includes this very special person in your life.
I'd like to add one more memory, please. Albert, may I come in?
By all means, Miss Helen Hayes.
I can't remember the words,
I
dear.
can't either, darling.
No,
Oh.
but I can only remember that experience of playing in Victoria Regina with you was the happiest time of my whole career in the theater. I'd like to quote for you, dear, if you don't, maybe you don't remember it, but a bit of Vincent Price philosophy. He said, the man who limits his interests limits his life. The theater and the screen are art forms among many. There's a whole world up there on the stage and the screen, but there's a bigger world off of them. That's Vincent.
Thank you,
Vincent Price, Prince of Many Kingdoms. You couldn't have had your life better summed up than by your own words and by the Queen herself, Miss Helen Hayes. This is your life, Vincent? No, these are your lives. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you.